Hi there, you're very welcome to this video about Pure at IDT. In this video, I'd like to show you how to add content to your Pure profile. But first, you need to log in to the back end of Pure. You can use the link beneath the video. The link is also available on the Intranet Guide to Pure on Orchard. There are also details in the Intranet Guide on how to get support if you have any queries. Please don't hesitate to reach out. So once you've logged in, you can use the institutional login credentials that you use. For example, the login details for your email will also work for Pure. You go to add content at the top of the screen here. You'll see that there are different types of content that you can add here. There's research output, activity, prize, press media. Funding opportunities is not activated yet. If you have funded projects, the Research Systems Officer can add those for you. We are about to launch the awards management module imminently, and you will be able to input that information yourself. There's also an impact statement that you can add to Pure to your profile. Maybe you want to capture the impact of various projects you've been involved in, and you can also create a curriculum vitae. There are actually separate videos on those items, so do check them out. So in this video, I'm just going to look at research output, activities, prizes, and press media. So if we go to research output, you can see that Pure is, has a very extensive list of categories. There are audiovisual research outputs. So for example, you might want to add an animation or a short film, book chapters, book reports, journal articles, online blogs, specialist publications, patents, theses. You might want to add your doctoral thesis or a master's thesis. There's also conference research outputs, for example, conference posters. Under this heading here, book chapters, you'll also see conference proceedings as well. And then there's working papers. So each of them have a template. You can see if you click on template here that you can manually complete. So if you have a short film, for example, you could click on audiovisual work and you can then put in the year. The red asterisk means that field is mandatory. Put in your title. Perhaps you have a short abstract. Perhaps the film is published online. Maybe it's 90 minutes long. You can add any collaborators. A publisher. So for example, perhaps it was published by a production company or TG4 or RTE. You can include a YouTube link, etc. And keywords and a scope of subject heading. So for example, if you look at the scope of subject headings, maybe it's multidisciplinary or maybe it's visual and performing arts. You can select that. And then you can also select United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So if you've made a short film and it was about Repeal the Eighth, you might want to select one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And obviously gender equality is the one that would be most relevant about that particular short film. And then you come down and you press save. By the way, when you're adding a research output, you can also link it to any other projects. For example, perhaps you've made a short film and it's also won a prize, and you can click on prize, and maybe there's let me look. A Palme d'Or, or, there's so many different prizes, and you can link to that prize. There are national awards, international awards, etc. And you may have already put an entry for a prize on your Pure profile, or you can link to a project, or maybe you've written an impact statement and you can link this entry to your impact statement. And then you just press save. And remember that all research outputs go to the Research Systems Officer to be validated. And that's purely because academic records tend to be official records, for example, journal articles, and we just make sure the page numbers and all of that is correct. But they will pop up pretty much on the day, or if not on the day, the next day. And everything else that you add to Pure appears immediately. It's just the research outputs part. So that's how you can add a research output. You'll notice that the templates are very similar. So if I go into audiovisual, you can capture visual art. More recently, I clicked on design and I added a fashion collection that somebody had produced. There are compositions if you've done a music composition. So because obviously we have a wide range of research outputs at IADT relating to art, music, as well as traditional journal articles, it's good to have, this broad visual art is there. You may produce software, and all of this can be captured in Pure. And again, you have all of these other categories. And you'll notice that the manual template, I've just selected journal article there. There's literature review, editorial, etc. They all look fairly similar, the template. The year of publication, the title, the abstract. There's just slight differences depending on the type of information. So obviously I'm adding a journal article there, so I'm going to be prompted to add a journal title. When you're adding journal articles, make sure that you always put the DOI. This is the best link if you've got a paper, rather than the URL at the top of the page, because that's a permanent individual identifier for that piece of academic work, and it pulls in lots of analytics. It's stable. If links change, etc., this DOI will always be there. Pop your DOI in. You can say if the article is the final published version, whether it's behind a paywall, maybe it's an open access one. If it's an open access one, just look for the Creative Commons license that goes along with open access publishing. If you can't find it, it's usually on the paper. Pop the research systems officer an email, and it can be retrieved for you. And again, fill out those details of adding the link, and then some keywords and a Scopus subject heading, and you can add a sustainable development goal. For example, the fashion collection that I added recently, it had a strong sustainability theme. So when I was adding it, it was very much made, with a focus on sustainable textiles. I could go in and I could capture responsible consumption and production. So I could say that fashion collection responded to that. You can also add funding details to any research outputs. And again, I can link that research output to any academic papers that come along, or projects or events that took place. And then, anything related to that research output is pulled together. And then you press again, save, and it goes for validation. Now, if you are creating your Pure profile from scratch and you're thinking, I've got to add, a lot of articles, there are ways around this. So we'll go back to research output, and instead of using the manual template, you can import from an online source. So you could import from your ORCID profile. And you can see I've already got the number in there. I'll copy paste it again just to show you. That's my ORCID number. Press search. And it pulls in my articles. And then all I have to do is press import. And it will actually populate the template for me. It takes all that data from the ORCID data, and you can see it's filled out the date, the year. Now it's saying duplicates because I've already imported it. It's got the abstract. It's got, the link. I might just have to add a few keywords and a sustainable development goal. So that's a really handy option, is importing from an online source. You can also sync your profile with ORCID. We've two-way synchronization, and you will have automatic synchronization. So when you add something to ORCID, it will come on to Pure, and vice versa. So do check out the short video that I have on this Pure channel, which will show you how to do that. Another feature that you might find very handy is you can actually use the DOI. I mentioned that you'll see it on publisher websites, etc. And you can actually add you can import from a DOI. So again, if I go import from online source, and if I come down to Crossref and I put in the DOI and search, it's come up with an article that I've written. It's telling me it already exists. That's because I've already imported that article. But let's say I hadn't, I can just import, and that will, again, it will manually populate, or not manually, automatically populate. The opposite of manually, it is simplifying the process for you. It will automatically populate the template for you, saving you having to enter all this detail, the authors, the links, etc. So just to recap, you can go to add content in your dashboard at the back. You can fill the manual template for research. You can import from an online source. You can also import from a file. This isn't as popular, but you might notice that some databases, they have BibTeX, it's called, for various articles, and you can just copy paste that BibTeX. But these are the two most popular: filling the template manually or importing from an online source. So that's research output. Let's say you wanted to add an activity. So there's lots of activity that, again, captures the full gamut of your scholarly work. Do be comprehensive about your profile. Don't just think in terms of research papers. Add your posters, your peer review work. If you host a visitor, this is a lovely feature on Pure. If you've hosted a visitor, you can put in the details there. So if you just click on that, you'll just see it's very simple. You can add a university there, the description of why they visited, the date, and you can scroll down and add a link if there's any information about. There's some keywords. And again, you could write an impact statement on that visit and link to that impact statement. Or maybe the visit is arising out of something like a Film EU project. So I could go to project and I could link that visit to the Film EU project. So you can see there I've got Film EU. And so, again, it just really captures all the work, that staff do. And again, if I go back to add content, and if I go to activity, there's also external examining, membership of professional bodies, curation of events. And again, you'll notice the templates are very, very similar. Organizing a workshop, just you can put in the event, etc. Under activities, there's also presentations. That's a very popular one: an invited talk, a keynote, or presentation. You can create an event or use one that's already there. Perhaps you want to add your slides to the teaching and learning showcase that took place. And there's the 2005 one, and I can scroll down, enter all the details of my presentation, the date, the level of recognition. So maybe it's a regional or local event or an international event. And then I can upload my slides, put some keywords, and press save. And remember, activities always appear on your profile straight away. So just to show you again, activities will capture other scholarly activity that you're engaged in, visiting external institutions, curating events, etc. There's also prizes, so distinctions, nominations, festivals, etc. And you can click into any of those and fill out those details. And again, very similar template. And there's also press and media. Many projects can be featured in the media, or staff are profiled in the media, or in interviews, etc., radio, print media, etc. So do capture that as well. So just to give you an idea what that looks like from the front end, if I go out to the public end and go to home, you can see that all of these outputs are captured here on individual profiles. If you go into any of the profiles, you can see the wide variety of work that people, they have visits to external institutions, etc. You can explore the research units. We've now started adding labs. There's also a facility to add equipment, projects, and there's the research output. So you can see, what kind of research output is being produced. Lots of really interesting articles. You can see the activities of staff as well. And again, staff are, involved in amazing professional bodies and events and conferences, etc. And the press and media is there as well. And you can see podcast interviews that are being, developed by IADT staff, or they're participating in them. And this is the impact statements. Do check out the separate video on that, where people have started recording their impact statements. So they're really helpful as well. So do put as much as you can on your profile to reflect the broad work that you do. I mean, there is also, for example, research supervision you can add, external examining, participation in validations. And it's amazing, your profile accumulates over time. And something that's very important to note is, please don't worry if you're an early career researcher, it's not all about papers. They accumulate over time. There's also conference presentations and peer reviewing, and it all builds up over time. If you'd like any advice on adding content to Pure, please don't hesitate to reach out. The support details are on the intranet guide to Pure. And thank you for listening. And we look forward to helping you to engage with Pure and to get your content onto Pure. There is also help with population as well. If you prefer to add content independently, we can provide training on that. And if you'd like some help with population, the Research Systems Officer can also help with that. Thank you.